All right. So yesterday I talked about a little bit of being the most invested person in the room, and today I think maybe I'll talk about like questions or something like that. I will say though that last night I didn't really get a very good night's sleep, and so like that's kind of a little dampener on my day. I'm probably a little bit out of it, um, but that's not really a big deal. The um, Yeah, today's been good though. Today I checked out a brokerage team and had a great experience with them. And it's one of those things where you kind of feel like it fits like a glove. I really felt welcomed, and I think I know where I might end up going as of right now. Just kind of got to pray about it, sleep on it, talk with Leslie about it, and moving forward, I think I might know what I want to do as far as that goes. So I'm excited about that stuff, um, and um, and I guess like leading into that a little bit, right, was like to leading into what I want to talk about is questions, right? And it was because, whenever I ask a question, how I feel about myself when I ask the question, do I feel comfortable with that? Do I feel comfortable in this environment asking the question? And then another thing too is the answer, the response, the reaction to my question something that is also welcoming. Um, and those are two things that I experienced, and questions are so powerful. Some people think asking a question makes you weak. It doesn't. It makes you vulnerable, and it takes humility. Those are two things about questions. But two things about because as that can be to be vulnerable and to be humble, right? Those are also two things required to be the person who can teach. And those are two things that are required to be an effective leader. So think of it as like maybe you're the person that asks the question that everyone else is thinking, but no one else wants to raise. Then that means you have um, the bravery and the capability of actually standing up. Because why hasn't anybody else asked the question yet? So you're the person. Um, and that, I mean, sometimes though you might feel like you're the person, but you are not the person, which are funny instances. We say that there's no such thing as a dumb question. Um, I guess if I guess technically not. There is definitely a way of looking at every question to where there is no dumb question. But if I'm looking at like a third, like an observer, right? And someone asks a question that everybody else is on the same page about and has been on the same page about. Whenever someone asks a question on the thing, it makes me wonder where they have been, right? It leads me into a question of like, where have you been? Like, why are you not listening? Do you have trouble hearing? What else is going on for you? Because we're all on the same page, and I think that our fear too, right, is being perceived like that whenever we ask questions. And so you kind of just really need to like reflect and look at yourself. Am I here? Am I it? And the person, and sometimes I'm that person, right, where it's like probably a dumb question. You still got to ask it, you know sometimes we have to take it in stride. And so what if I'm not up to speed with everybody else? Better that I get caught up and be left behind. And if say I'm like caught up with everything, I'm not asking questions, but then that happens to me, but I'm unwilling to surrender a little bit of pride, or be willing to be wrong, or to be vulnerable, or to humble myself, then that person that I was like they're not with it, that asked the dumb question, very well will pass me, you know and I'm not saying that it's like it's all about competing with each other on who's like the one, right, or anything like that. But what I mean though is that our competency, and what does it mean, right, to actually make personal progression, and what does it mean to understand what's going on, what does it mean to be on the same page as everybody else for what it is you want to do. Like if it's something I want to do, I'm motivated, so I'm going to find the right way to ask a question. I'm going to be invested, right? So I'm not going to be like missing things. I'm going to be on the wavelength, on the same page, which is a great feeling to have. And it's all so but so yeah, like today, like I had some questions answered very well, but answered that I wanted was the genuine answer that I got. And That was for several things. I have um, I've had a pretty good tired day, and I still got a lot more to do today. I have too much stuff for too little time, and whenever I came into the summer, that was what I wanted essentially. I wanted to experience that again because I hadn't experienced it in a long time, and maybe it's too strong swing of a pendulum, but I would much rather be overburdened and too stressed than nothing. I can handle nothing like a vacation for a while, but it will get to a point to where then it becomes a problem because not having something to do can lead into not having a purpose, right? We can enjoy life and relax and rest, but that's not our purpose in life. And so whenever I haven't been challenged in a long time, it's like I'm coasting. And a quote that I saw today, ironically at the place where it felt like it might be a good place to be, was a quote that's saying that the only way you can coast is to coast downhill. And so I thought that just really rang with me because I'm here and I'm trying to make all these changes. I can't say try. I am making these changes. I am making differences in myself, and I'm excited for it. And I know I have more questions to come. But I'm just thankful right now, and you know, whenever whenever I proceed, right, um, and whenever I ask those questions, I endeavor to be the person that's on the same page, or the person that's asking the question that nobody else is willing to humble themselves to ask. And we we as people will preach that that is the right thing to do and that's the way that things are supposed to do, but it's kind of like the concept of like believing in yourself. Like we're spoon fed to believe in ourselves, and that we can do anything for the time we're born. But whenever we really break it down and apply it to our lives and moving forward, do we really? And so whenever we think about like the concepts of no dumb questions, um, and being willing to be humble and to be vulnerable and to be wrong when asking questions, um, to really believe that it's okay, it's difficult in practice because if that were the case, then I think a lot of things would be a lot smoother everywhere around us. In the places that I see, high productivity, in the places where it's happening, things are going well, um, and healthy. Things can go well and not be healthy, but things are going well and healthy. Um, it the atmosphere is encouraging to be vulnerable, to be wrong, and it's encouraging to be humble. And in order to produce an environment like that, I mean, everybody's got to be willing to be wrong, to be humble. And, that's kind of hard to do. Um, and so, whenever I encounter a space that's like that, it makes me pretty warm, you know. And, whenever it's not like that, I can feel rigid, you know. And when I feel rigid, I don't like to ask questions. Um, it's an element of fear, you know. Whenever it feels awkward to ask a question, like I don't know how to approach this person or approach this thing, right? That's hard, right? That's the very proof that um, it is not always easy to ask questions, and we can use questions for so many different things as well. Um, it's not just about getting the right information or getting clarification or having somebody repeat something because you dozed off or you were paying attention. It's like the rhetorical stuff, right? The prompting of thinking, right? And in that space, that's where questions can really be powerful. Open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions, right? Leaving people questions to open up the floor for them to talk, and those are really really powerful ways of communicating and influencing other people. It's about steering the way that other people communicate with your questions as opposed to just getting yes, no, or numbers or a specific thing, right? It's to allow other people to explore their own thoughts in their own mind and their what's happening, you know, based upon the way that you're asking a question and what you're asking for. And so just be mindful about questions because we can most definitely unintentionally uh, go down the wrong rabbit hole with our questions. And that's kind of what I was thinking about. Um, the latter bit about how questions can influence people. I could go into that more, but I'm too tired to. Anyways, God bless.